pleasure to now invite the Honourable Tom Koutsantonis Treasurer and Minister for Finance, State Development, Minerals, Resources and Energy and Small Business to come and speak with us.
Good morning everyone. Thank you for getting up so early to come along to the recent breakfast, and Christine, you've done a fantastic job in arranging this breakfast. I also want to acknowledge my fellow speakers today, Associate Professor David Cropley, Professor of Engineering, Innovation, University of South Australia, Professor Richard Hills, CEO of Deep Exploration Technologies, CRC. Through the work of the CRC, he's ensured that South Australia has arguably the most work undercover program in the world, and that is a remarkable achievement. And of course, Bob Johnson, the most famous South Australian. And I want to congratulate Bob for his introduction to the International Mining Technology Hall of Fame last month. It's quite an achievement and a great opportunity here in South Australia. I also want to acknowledge my parliamentary colleague, Mr. Vincent Hartley, member for Hartley, who's taken the time to come to this breakfast. Innovation is fundamental to your industry. Mining, equipment, technology and services don't have the luxury of standing still. In fact, it's exactly this sort of business environment that drives innovation. Innovation drives efficiency, which in turn drives success. And to be a success, South Australia, our mining industry, needs a strong met sector. And as a government, we need to innovate also. We need to innovate so we can support business. It's not the case that we can simply turn to the Treasury to fund our way through tough times. And as a government, we have to be innovative, innovate with our approach to tax reform, industry support and long-term strategic planning. And it's fair to say that innovation is the heart of our economic priorities. If you look at our world-renowned PACE initiative as an example of innovative industry policy, PACE has played an integral role in creating pipelines of prospects in this state while working in partnership with the mining industry. And our independent analysis has found that PACE provided a clear path forward to accelerating discovery and delivering significant impact on industry outputs. It's an innovation that's been copied around the country and abroad, which is a great compliment to the people who work in the Department of State Development. Now, within a decade, PACE has directly attributed to providing $2.4 billion in mineral production, $700 million in private mineral exploration expenditure that would have been the case, and produced 15 significant exploration successes from collaborative drilling. And such a track record of success makes it easier to justify investing a further $20 million in funding in the next 2 years into PACE Copper. Now, this initiative announced by me a few days ago will deliver the world's largest high-resolution airborne geophysical and terrain imaging to rejuvenate exploration in South Australia's copper belt. The result will be world-class data and analysis in the untouched western frontier of our state's copper belt. And that will trigger a major drilling program. Now, I'm confident that by sharing the upfront risks, we can generate more than $400 million in private mineral exploration in the state and retain up to about 1,000 direct and indirect jobs in the minerals and mining services sector. Previous experience has shown that funding in PACE returns dividends. And at a time, as all of you know, when capital to finance drilling programs is scarce, it's exactly the right time for the government to step into the breach to help accelerate the investment industry that's so crucial for our state's ongoing success. Pace Copper is just the first instalment in a comprehensive long-term copper strategy for South Australia. Now that strategy aims to equip copper explorers and producers with the support to require to triple South Australia's copper output by 2020. Now this is a nation-building target, and it will assist our country to leapfrog the ranks of the top 3 global copper producing nations. Now MET's companies have a crucial role to play in ensuring we can achieve this ambition. It's bold, but we have to aim high. Now, admittedly, the state and the nation's resources sector are not and cannot be immune to the fortunes of the commodity price cycle. But a constrained capital market shouldn't be a handbrake on our ambitions. We need to take this time to reassess our strategies and plan for the inevitable upswing. This government recognises that not every resources and energy project will succeed. Some will fail. But I make no apology for ensuring that this government does everything we can to help it grow and succeed. And we recognise that there are hurdles to overcome. And it's never going to be easy. We're spending $72.4 million on exploration for mineral resources in 12 months in September in South Australia. Our support for the resources and energy industry in these challenging times needs to be unflinching. Behind the scenes, the Department of State Development's mining team is assisting explorers to remain on their tenements. That work is reflected in the stats that show 30% of South Australia remains under exploration, outperforming Western Australia with 15% and Queensland with 10%. The mining projects team is also overseeing the renewal of a number of operations to extend the life of mines, and a number of operations that have been put on hold are scheduled to come back online in 2016. If we look to the future, there is an excellent raft of projects coming through the pipeline. Now, innovation, as I said, is critical to our shared success, and PACE is that shining beacon, but it isn't our only bright innovation in the resources sector. In recognition of the immense opportunity to grow the supply chain in this state, the government established the Mining Industry Participation Office. And MIPO and the Industry Capability Network continue to work collaboratively to leverage activity generated by mining into new intellectual property, jobs and global business opportunities for mining services companies. MIPO also provides the support for a further South Australian innovation. That's our Mining and Petroleum Services Centre of Excellence. Now the Centre is working harder than ever to create a pathway for mining and energy companies and research institutions, and indeed South Australian businesses to work together to find solutions that will make our state's resources globally competitive. With the prevailing global focus on efficiency to drive down costs, Australian METs are at the forefront of rising to meet the challenges facing the resources and energy sector. Available business intelligence highlights that South Australia's MET sector is more significant than previously thought. The latest snapshot shows your sector is responsible for this is the wrong slide I think, $3.9 billion in sales and employs 17,000 South Australians alongside a string of other impressive outputs. If I can find the right slide, there we go. It's an excellent opportunity that exists to expand South Australia's mining supply chain globally. Consider that in South Australia there are some $7 billion worth of mining projects at the feasibility stage. In Australia, some $80 billion. But internationally, there's more than $250 billion up for grabs. The comparatively low Australian dollar presents an opportunity for your sector to plug into the global supply chain. Don't let anyone discourage you from having global ambitions. Quite frankly, South Australia's ambition to become an international mining services hub is realistic. Australia's METs exports $15 billion exceeded the value of the national gold exports of about 14 billion. The Osmine survey in 2015 found nationally 66% of MEX companies surveyed are now exporting into the global supply chain. If we can do this nationally, then we should have similar ambitions for South Australian companies. Again, it's a bold ambition, but it's not one that can happen on its own. And the South Australian government is prepared to embrace innovative policies to assist your sector to capture these new markets. And that's why today I'm launching the PACE Supply Chain Development Program. The program is a result of thorough research and discussions conducted with more than 100 organisations across the sector. It's a collaborative process. Business leaders have provided their input on how we can reposition your sector for future success. The research identified the need to develop strong commercial capabilities to connect and build relationships, and we've also found we need an industry-driven pathway to seek new export markets. The PACE Supply Chain Development Program is aimed at improving the competitiveness of South Australian companies so they have the confidence and capacity to become globally relevant. If we can tap a global market, we believe we can create quickly 200 new jobs here in South Australia and broaden our exposure to global markets and build relationships beyond our borders. Now, going global requires a shift in mindset. And the PACE Supply Chain Development Program enables business to embed new skills into their business practices. The program has been designed in modules so that in the latter stages the companies can co-invest if you choose to progress. The program is a further example of how industry bodies such as RISA and Osmine are able to work with the government to deliver a service that can make a real difference, I think, to our business community. South Australia's mining supply chain has a big role to play on the global stage, and I'm confident that we can have a starring role. The PACE Supply Chain Development Program to assist South Australian business needs to seize this opportunity and support the government in its objective to unlock the full potential of our resources and energy assets. Things are tough right now, I understand that for your sector, but this collaboration with the private sector has driven this policy. And this policy has been designed for the people in this room. Ultimately, it's up to you to embrace it. It's not perfect. It can be modified if necessary, and it requires that constant collaboration, that constant conversation with government, so we can constantly evolve. Our public servants in state development, I believe, are the best in the government. They're the most responsive to business, and they're prepared to listen, and they're prepared to learn. We don't have all the answers, or we don't pretend to have all the answers. And that's why it's important we have this engagement. Thank you for your patience. Enjoy your breakfast, and I look forward to hearing from the other speakers. Good morning.
Thank you so much for that. I'd really like to echo how much opportunity there is, and I reflect on Chile. I'm spending a bit of time in South America over the last couple of years because it's a market. Chile really came from nowhere. I mean, if you think of 15, 20 years ago, and Chile and mining wouldn't have actually come together, and engineering. The speed at which Australia's been quite a key player in building that capacity in Chile, it seems to me to lay the challenge down at our doorstep. If we can actually work collaboratively with other countries to do that, so we can do it in our own backyard. So thank you, Treasurer. The PACE Supply Development Program, as the Treasurer has already mentioned, is a collaboration between RISA, Osmine and the Department of State Development. If you'd like more information about the program, Stuart from our team at RISA, now where's Stuart? There he is with his hand waving, and Robert from Osmine. Robert, there you are. Will be available after the formalities to speak to you. There's already been quite significant expressions of interest, and we think this is quite an exciting program. We're delighted to be involved in it.